Hi everyone and welcome to Triple M Adventures with Bill. This video is an OpenTX video where I'm going to go through and explain what a safe throttle is. Now with a quadcopter we use flight controllers, and this controls the arming and disarming of the quadcopter so that you hopefully don't accidentally arm the quad. But with an aeroplane we don't have that unless we have a flight controller in it. So this video is going to show you how you set up a safe throttle. I have already done this in videos of the different tutorials I've done for the radios, but I wanted to do a specific OpenTX one so that it can be in my OpenTX library. So let's switch over to my computer and OpenTX Companion, and we'll go through the settings. I've already set a model up which is called Safe Throttle. We're going to open that. Now the first thing we're going to do is go to curves. Now we are in curve 1. I want to call this, I call this cut. And then we're going to change the points to just 2. Now all we need to do is drag these down to the bottom. And that is our curve finished. That's all we need to do in here. Now let's take a look at the logical switches. We're going to go into logical switch 1. And here we need to say A is smaller than. Now A will be V1, which is our throttle. Now we have to be careful here which one we select, otherwise this won't work. It's not the input, it's the stick. So there's the throttle. Then the X part would be, we need to put in -98. And that's everything on that line. We don't need to put anything else. We go on to logical switch 2. This has to be OR. This has to be logical switch 1. This needs to be logical switch 2. And here we have to select our arm switch, whichever arm switch you decide to use. And in my case, that is going to be SF forward, SF in the forward position. Then we need to put a delay on, and the delay I will show a little bit later. I'll explain why we do this. So we're going to make this 0.5 of a second. Okay, that's everything in the logical switches. Now let's move on to the inputs. And here we need to modify the throttle line. So to do that we double click, and we are going to change the switch here just at the bottom to logical switch 2. Logical switch 2, and then say OK. Now we need to add another line to our throttle. So we are going to right click and say lines, and we are going to duplicate. Then we're going to go to that line, double click it, and here we need to change the curve here, this to curve, and then select the curve that we made earlier, which is cut. There we go. Now the logical switch does have to be LO2, but it's got to be one with an exclamation mark, and that means not LO2. So we are going to have to then scan up and find the negatives or the knots and LO2. There it is, LO2. And OK. Now we should be good to go. We should have set up the safe throttle. Now we can demonstrate this by going into the simulator. So let's do that. And then we hit the model key once and then hold it down again. We'll see our channels. So at the moment we're armed. Let's disarm. So we're disarmed. So the throttle, which will be channel 3, is not moving. Now if I leave the stick up and arm, the throttle's not working. And if I move the throttle stick, nothing's going to happen. If I go down quickly and back up, nothing will happen. I need to go down for at least half a second and my throttle will start working. Now if I go back up and then disarm, the throttle drops, there will be no power going through to our motor and it still won't work. So there we go, that is the safe throttle. Now I'm going to insert a video where I set this up on a radio. Now this can be slightly different from radio to radio, but I just wanted to demonstrate it being done on a radio that doesn't have a big LCD screen. So let's have a look at that video. Now I need to go back into the model menu and then push the page forward until we get to the curves. Now I'm not going to explain this to you, but I'm just going to show you what you need to do to be able to set up the safe throttle. So we push enter, we're going to call this cut. There we go. Let's return. Oops, I've got to go back in again. I came out. Okay, now we're going to go down to the cap points, 5 points, and we're going to click, and we're just going to change that to 2. Then we're going to click it, enter again. And then we're going to go across to here, and you can see this is highlighted now. So if I push enter, I can scroll that down to the bottom. We want the Y to be a -100. Okay, and then we're going to go across to the other one and click, and we're going to scroll that one down to the bottom 2. So in the end, you're going to have 0.2 and X equals 100 and Y equals -100. So that is your curve setup. Now let's move on to the logical switches. So we can hit the page button, logical switches. Now in here, we're going to push enter. Now in the first logical switch, L01, we are going to click enter, and we need to put in here A is smaller than X. And it's important to get these correct. Now in V1, we need to put the throttle gimbal. Now you've got to make sure it's not this throttle here, not the input, but the gimbal. So where we go? There we go. No, wrong one. Sorry. Where's the throttle? There's the throttle. It needs to be the throttle. And then in V2, so A is V1 and X is V2. We need to put a -98. So there we go. And that is everything we need to put in the logical switch 1. So we can push return. Now we go to logical switch 2. And in here, we click enter. We need to put all. Then in V1, we need to select logical switch 1. Logical switch 1. And then in V2, we need to select logical switch 2. Logical switch 2. Then the switch, we push enter, and this has got to be our arm switch forward, which our arm switch is this one, and there we go. So let's switch E forward. Now you can choose whichever one you like, as long as you each time you're setting this up, you use the same one. Okay, then we go on to duration, which is nothing, but we do need to put a delay in here, and I put a delay of a 0.5 of a second. Now I'm going to explain to you later why we put that delay in, which is what makes it a safe throttle. So that is the logical switches. Now we're on the final step. We need to put the inputs in. So we are going to push return, and we are going to pick page back, and we're going to go to our inputs. Oops, too far. Now we need to adjust the throttle here and change this. So we push enter and we say edit. Now in the first line, we must make sure our source is the throttle gimbal. And then we need to go down to the switch, which is there. Now this must be logical switch. And in this case, it's got to be L2. So we just need to do that. And now we can push enter. Now we have to insert another line. Now to do this, you hold down the enter button and you say insert after, and it will go straight into the edit screen. Now here we are going to make sure we've got the right source, which is correct, is the throttle gimbal. Then we're going to have to scroll down to the curve. We push enter and we're going to change this to custom. Push enter, go across, and now you'll see the curve come up. We have the cut curve. And the final thing we need to do to set up our basic model is to go to the switch. Now here we can go logical switches. Now there is a logical switch which has an exclamation mark in front of it. That means not that logical switch. So we have to go back up, and we should start seeing all our switches in negative with an exclamation mark. And in this case, we need to have exclamation mark, logical switch 2. Now we should be good to go. So we can return, return, return. Thanks for watching this video, and if you enjoyed it, please give it a thumbs up, and if you really enjoyed it, please subscribe to my channel, and if you have any comments or questions, please leave them in the comment section below, because I'd love to hear from you. And please share this video with your friends, and please consider becoming a patron of my YouTube channel. Thanks for watching. Happy flying. Bye for now.